You are an Airbnb host and you want more bookings. So you're considering going multi-platform, getting on VRBO, Booking.com, HomeAway, TripAdvisor, in order to achieve those extra bookings. But I can tell you from experience that it's not just a simple task of listing on VRBO. There's clear pros and cons to going multi-platform as an Airbnb host. In this video, I want to give you everything that you need to know as far as the pros and cons are concerned, so you can make a decision whether or not going multi-platform is right for you, because you might actually not make more money, but you could. So in this video, let's talk about those pros and cons and get you prepared for your journey to multi-platform if you choose to take it. Let's jump in. Welcome back, Airbnb family. So as many of you know, when I started this channel, it's been Airbnb only for years. We actually grew to over 100 listings using only the Airbnb platform. Back in the day, we tried a HomeAway booking once and we hated it. We tried Booking.com for a few reservations and their payment system was terrible and their platform is really rudimentary and kind of clunky. So we decided it's just cleaner to grow on Airbnb, and we did. Now, after COVID, though, and this pandemic and, of course, the uncertainty of it all, there's strong consideration for going multi-platform. And we are actually going multi-platform. So I'm going to let you know that that's a step we're taking. But it's been years in the game. And I want to let you know that there are reasons to and reasons to avoid going multi-platform. And at your stage, you may not want to. So in this video, pros and cons, so you'll know when you're ready, if you're ready. So let's like the video, subscribe if you're new, and jump into number one. Number one is a very clear con. It's the learning curve of learning any new platform, because every platform is different in not only how you set up a listing, but how you manage it and the rules for each listing. Now, when you were new to Airbnb, you probably made some big mistakes. And if you're going to get into Airbnb, you're sure going to make some mistakes along the way as a new person. It's just the name of the game. So without fail, you will fail. You know what I'm saying? It's guaranteed when you go to these new platforms, there's going to be some things that you don't do right. And if you're already overburdened doing too much, this could be just one extra brick that you cannot carry. So if you're going to go multi-platform, you need to come to multi-platform from a position of strength, from a position of control and readiness. Because if you're struggling and you think multi-platform is going to fix your problems, you're just adding more to your plate and you continue to struggle. And you don't want that problem if you already have other ones. Number two is probably the biggest pro that you could possibly imagine for going multi-platform: more exposure. Now, you can see the clear value of this if you look at the Airbnb platform. It gives you your views per month and it gives you a conversion percentage. And then you can break that down into an occupancy percentage. If you get 400 views on your listing on Airbnb per month and you have a 1% conversion rate, that means you get 4 bookings. And if your 4 bookings are 5 days long each, then you have 20 days occupancy. Ta-da! Now, the logic here is by going multi-platform, being on 4 or 5 different platforms, that 400 views a month can turn into 800 or 1,000 views a month or more. And if your conversion rate stays the same, then you get that many more bookings. And the key here is to get bookings at full rate, because by getting your bookings at full rate, then you never have to lower your prices. So instead of getting, say, 5 to 10 bookings per month at full rate and then lowering your prices, if you use our pricing strategy where we inflate our nightly rate and get like a big premium for a few days, if you could take that same logic and get 12 or 15 days at that inflated full rate, you're crushing it and you have to lower your rate on less days. That is an absolutely massive pro. More money in your pocket, because this is a business and it's about profitability. Number 4 is another con. Must be said, but you need to add a channel manager in order to prevent mistakes from happening, like the double booking we just discussed, and this costs money. So when you go multi-platform, there are going to be extra costs associated, and a channel manager could just be one of those costs. See, you may need an extra person, like an extra staff member, to handle the extra activity or the extra complexity within the business. You may need to spend more money on onboarding new employees or new hires because there's just more to know. And that extra complexity adds extra costs. And of course, that managing the risk of a double booking using a channel manager costs money too. Some are cheap, some are expensive. And some have different features. You might want one that just does everything for you, which means that all of your messages from all of your channels can come into one inbox. You might want it where you can visualize the whole calendar for all of your channels into one calendar that's like color-coded, which is nifty. You might want to be able to give people a check-in guide or kind of have like an in-app concierge service through the channel manager. And there are some channel managers that do tons of stuff like this. And some even do some pricing assistance or online direct bookings, like, you can have your own website through some of these channel managers. So some of these do some really cool things, which add some other fringe benefits of going multi-platform, but of course it comes at a cost. And if you don't make enough new money from going multi-platform to cover these extra costs, you might just be breaking even or at worst losing money if you can't get extra money per night on some of your reservations. So there is inherently an extra little risk here by adding cost to your business model. Number 5 is a pro. And I really want to land this one because right now it kind of is the reason to go multi-platform if you do, which is that you diversify your income streams. In my past videos over the last 3 years, you've seen some crazy stuff happen with Airbnb, where Airbnb didn't pay me out for a few weeks. And that's why we started having multiple Airbnb accounts. So if one of our accounts didn't get paid for some reason, we'd still be getting income from different Airbnb accounts. Well, just the same, if you have a booking.com account or a HomeAway account or a TripAdvisor, then you're getting money from these other platforms as long as you're getting bookings from them. Some of them even pay you right away. See, if you have a Stripe account for your booking.com, you can collect payments right now for a booking that's a month and a half from now, which allows you to have future revenues today, which is highly valuable. So this diversity helps you in case something does happen with Airbnb and Airbnb goes out of business or another platform goes out of business or Airbnb removes your account, which we're going to talk about in different videos, but right now there's a lot of parties on Airbnb. Then, an Airbnb decides to remove your account and blame you instead of the guest. This diversifies you from that risk, which means you can continue to run your business if something goes wrong on one platform. So diversification is risk management in this case. And 6, this is a different pro too, because we just mentioned the party problem. Different users behave differently. So right now, Airbnb does have a huge problem with parties. It's absolutely a massive issue. It is probably the biggest problem hosts have right now. The reason why, as I believe, that there are a lot of people in lower income demographics that have extra money from the stimulus checks and the unemployment assistance. They also don't have much to do, so they got idle time. And clubs and bars are closed, so they can't go out and blow their money in some formal establishment because things are shut down due to COVID still. And then finally, lastly, the rap community, the music world, talks about partying in Airbnbs all the time. So when you have a lower income demographic who glorifies house parties through Airbnb because of the music they listen to, they have the extra money, time to kill, and they don't have the option to go to a club, they will spend their money on a house party. And house parties have spiked. So if you want to avoid house parties, we've got another video coming up on how to do that, but you can also get your bookings on HomeAway or VRBO. It's not guaranteed to work, but booking.com or TripAdvisor also are other ones. And I would say that booking.com specifically has more Asian travelers because there's a sister company from Asia that works with booking.com, and you're not going to get that benefit right now due to international travel restrictions, but VRBO and HomeAway has a lot of European travelers. So when things go back to normal post-COVID, you will get a broader spectrum of guests, and maybe right now it's harder to avoid those guests even on other platforms. And I can't guarantee that if you get on TripAdvisor, you'll have less people throwing parties. But I will say that it's a shot possibly worth taking. So with all of this said, there's the pros of possibly making more money, having more exposure. But there's the cons of having to learn new platforms and these extra little inherent risks. What I would advise for you is if you are a new host, a new short-term rental operator, less than 6 months experience, just do Airbnb your first 6 months. The reason why is because it is the easiest platform to get to learn the industry, and they do have the lion's share of exposure. So you can get enough bookings to be profitable, and you can learn in a clean way how to deal with the guest check-in and how to clean after the guest leaves. And you can become, intermediate at this, at least. And then at that point that you really understand how this industry works, then go multi-platform and add that on your plate. But do it from a position of, from success. Don't overextend yourself right away and struggle for your first 4 months as an Airbnb host or a short-term rental operator because you're just trying to do it all from the beginning. A lot of people fail because they try to do too much, or because there is so much that you can do that you become paralyzed into inaction. So if you haven't started your journey yet because you're worried about getting on HomeAway or VRBO or Expedia or stuff like that, just get on Airbnb. Start simple. And then come back and watch a future video that I'm gonna do for you about how to create your VRBO account, and we'll go from there. But start small and expand on success is my advice for you on whether or not you should go multi-platform. If you're a host with at least a year experience, multiple listings, and you generally do a good job, now is the time to go multi-platform. So join me on that journey. Plenty more of that to come on this channel. So of course, subscribe if you have not yet. There's so much I can teach you, and it's exciting for me to teach you. I look forward to you watching the videos to come. So thank you for watching this one, and I'll see you on the other side.